Hey everyone, Mystical Mark here. So this will be your intuitive astrology forecast for the week of October 5th to the 11th of 2025. In this video, I will tune in to each aspect, both major and minor aspects this week. Tune into my own higher self to get the overall just kind of intuitive, energetic vibe of each aspect that is showing up. So, each aspect is kind of like its own energy portal all in its own self in a lot of ways. So I just tune into that to see what that's like, and then of course at the end of the video I will tune in for an overall energy for the week as well. Okay, now before we get into the charts here, of course, if you're looking for any kind of a reading with me, all those links are in the description below. I also do have a $10 3-minute, I call it just a quickie reading, if you just want like a quick answer about something, or you don't want to spend money on like a full ass reading, or you're not sure what I can do for you in a reading, and then this is just a quick way just to see. So yeah, okay. With all that being said, of course, as I say at the beginning of all of my videos, my guidance has been and likely always will be astrology is an energetic template conducive to certain things. The analogy that they've given me is that it's like a math formula. So this, like a current chart, is like a math formula, and there's variables that exist within that formula, and those variables can change. Okay, or we're able to change them. All right, so that, of course, is that aspect of free will. And with that, anything that I get through intuitively regarding maybe a specific event, or if I predict something like that, again, that is always subject to change because of free will. That is for absolutely any intuitive reading regarding anything in the future. Any prediction or anything regarding anything in the future is always subject to change. It's not just from me, it's from anyone that's giving any kind of a reading. It's always subject to change simply due to free will. All right, with all that being said, I think I've said all that I need to say anyway, so let's get into the charts for this week. Just pull it up on my end here, and obviously we're going to start here on Sunday, October the 5th. Now, a few things happening today. So we're going to start here with this Venus that is going to be in this biquintile here to Chiron retrograde. Of course, Venus in Virgo. Looks like she's just coming off the south node there. So let me just tune in here to this Venus in biquintile to this Chiron retrograde. Feels like she's putting in the work to take care of something, but it feels like more like a behind the scenes kind of work. It's not hidden. It's like she's not hiding it, but it's just work that has to happen. It's not really at the forefront. It's stuff that has to happen like behind the scenes, and it feels like it's regarding whatever this Chiron is. It's like it almost feels like we have to fix this kind of an energy. And it's relating to, obviously, where you've been hurt, where the wounds are, etc. But it's like fixing, it's almost like fixing it so that it doesn't like occur again. Okay? It's trying to fix, trying to heal, that kind of stuff. Anything else with this? Okay, they're not giving me anything else with that. But one thing I do want to mention, though, is when I say feminine energy, we all have both divine masculine and divine feminine within us. So that could be our own feminine side, feminine aspect that is wanting to pursue this. This could be someone who is, physically feminine, or it's someone that just simply expresses as feminine, okay, regardless of what their physical gender or sexual orientation or any of that is. All right. Also on this day too, we're going to have Pluto here in sextile, sextile to Juno. All right, Pluto retrograde, of course. Okay, so let me just tune into this Pluto retrograde in sextile to Juno. Changes that are needing to be made. This almost feels like globally and politically as well, but it's changes that need to be made. And obviously Pluto, that aspect of transformation, there's an intensity here, but it's changes that need to be made surrounding aspects of what feels like some kind of aspects of partnership. And I was getting like global stuff, whether that's like political or like business stuff. As I mentioned, coming into Sagittarius previously, that was maybe more of a focus now, was maybe more on that global aspect, as Juno represents committed partnerships, committed contracts, etc. It feels like whatever changes that need to be made surrounding those, maybe on a more like kind of a global political scale is what it feels like. But there's an intensity there with Pluto surrounding this stuff, and that needs to occur, whatever these changes are that are coming through with that. Anything else more with this aspect? No, but what I do want to mention is, remember, Pluto is retrograde, so this is stuff that we already know about that is needing to transform and change, okay, regarding these things. All right, we're also going to have here Juno as well in this biquintile to Chiron retrograde. So let me just tune into this here. It almost feels like where we've been hurt or like fired at in certain ways surrounding whatever these committed partnerships, whatever. Again, it feels globally, it feels like political or economic or whatever. And I still feel like this aspect of change may be surrounding that. Or it's basically, there's a feeling there of that energy, of that Chiron energy, of that past energy. And it's surrounding whatever maybe needs to shift or change within those partnerships too. Excuse me. So maybe that's something to pay attention to there. With that biquintile. But yeah, it feels like there's an awareness kind of maybe behind the scenes, behind closed doors. It's not necessarily a secret, but it's like, it almost feels like more internally as well. Like the people that are involved with whatever these partnerships or contracts are feeling it more internally, surrounding where they've been hurt, and ultimately where that needs to shift and change on whatever these things are. Okay, so that's Sunday the 5th. Let's move on to Monday, October 6th here. And of course, this is when we're going to have this full moon in Aries, and also Mercury is coming into Scorpio. So it looks like the first of those two is going to be Mercury coming into Scorpio here. We can now see Mercury is 0 degrees in this chart, and Mercury will enter around 10:41 a.m. Central Time. Okay, so let me just tune into this Mercury coming into Scorpio. Almost feels like there's more of an intensity surrounding communication. Again, it feels like politically, globally, like something is really kind of more aware here. There's an intensity of awareness, and whether that can relate to communication specifically, maybe being a bit more intense. Let me just tune into this a bit more. There could be, I almost want to say hot words, or like maybe a bit more blunt speech. Because Scorpio doesn't fuck with bullshit, okay? So when we're dealing with this energy, Scorpio can be very straightforward, because it's this intensity, this focus on what you need to see. It's seeing through the veil, it's seeing it, and it's like, yeah, this is what it is. It's seeing it for what it is. So that communication may be communicating it for what it is. Like, no one's going to be extra nice, right? They're going to say it for what it is, okay? And what I feel like, this seems also politically, again, and that, people might be like, oh my God, they said that, or, like it could be like very triggering, or very, almost shocking, maybe in some sense, with this energy, as there's an intensity to that Scorpio energy, because it's like, yeah, I'm saying it for what it is. I'm not gonna fuck with bullshit, right? So anything else surrounding that? Now Mercury coming into Scorpio. No, so at least not at the moment. So that's the initial ingress. Of course, as I do more videos and as there's more aspects to this, other things may come through. Right, so with that now let's have a look at this full moon in Aries here. Okay, so let me just tune in to a full moon, this full moon in Aries. Okay, it's highlighting what I almost get is more of a Scorpio energy. Now, when I say that, we look at the ruler of Aries, which is Mars, as in Scorpio, and now we have also Mercury in Scorpio. So this Mars in Scorpio is flavoring this whatever's in Aries here, and of course with that full moon, it seems very focused. It seems very like hot-headed, focused. There's an intensity to this. Now, okay, let's keep going here. What else? It's highlighting a lot of this stuff. It's coming to light. Full moons are usually about release, so it's highlighting a lot of this stuff, bringing it to light. Obviously, a release, maybe the blocks that are in the way of this, or release it. It almost feels like to release it, to bring it out. Okay, because that's ultimately what Scorpio energy really does too, right? I understand it's full moon in Aries, but we have to remember Mars is in Scorpio. Okay, Mars rules Aries. These energies are playing off each other. All right, so you can't just focus specifically just on the sign. There's more going on here than just that basic stuff. That's why when I do astrology, if somebody asks me questions in comments, like I had a comment, and I'm not trying to be rude or call anybody out on this. It was on TikTok, and they were just saying, I have a Virgo stellium in the 8th house. What does that mean? It's like, well, I can't break it down, and it's not going to mean the same for everyone. It just simply isn't. You're a unique individual person. Your chart is unique. You are unique. In order for me to say what that specifically is for you, I need to see your entire chart, right? So with that being said, and that's why, because you don't what rules the 8th house in your chart, okay? What are those planets or objects that are in the stellium aspecting? Okay, why is it in Virgo specifically for you? What are those planets? Are they personal planets? Are they outer planets? Are they there's so much more to this that affects what that is for a specific person than just whatever. And plus, I also do this intuitively, so I can get what does it mean for you? Why did you come in at that time of your birth to create the character you wanted to play? What aspect is that for you in this life, right? So like I said, there's much more to this, okay, than just your simple basic stuff. Like I said, I don't do basic sun sign astrology, and I said it with the sun coming into Libra in that video too, in that you can't just go by your sun sign, because it's like I just said here, it's not just your sun sign. Your sun is also in a house. What is the house ruler? What is that your sun aspecting? Your sun could even be a weak point in your chart, which means that energy isn't going to be maybe as prominent in your personality as other aspects in your chart. Like if you do have a stellium, right? So, and it could be also completely fucking different for you. I don't know. I'd have to look at you'd have to look at the chart. Have to intuitively tune in, be like, okay, why did your higher self choose this to come in as this person or at this time or whatever, to have that specific energy for you, whatever that is. Okay, and yeah, that can include your sun sign, but the fact that everybody just focuses on that just makes it extremely watered down, and just to be blunt, not very accurate at all, really. You have to take into account every aspect of the chart, right? So that's what I mean by that. Now, back to this full moon, okay? So full moon in Aries, it feels intense. It feels very hot. It feels very heated. It feels very heated, really. And what I kind of get with that is, in essence, because the sun is in Libra, to achieve some kind of balance. Whatever that intensity is, or whatever needs to be shown or to be released, maybe is that aspect of justice and balance that is trying to come through in highlighting that it maybe has to come through in maybe that heated way for a reason. Okay. So, anything else with this full moon here in Aries? That's the gist of it. That's all they're giving me. So, also on this day too, we're going to have this Mercury in quincunx to Neptune peaking. Okay, so Mercury now in Scorpio. Yeah, so Mercury will be in Scorpio when this happens. Sorry, I just had to look at when Mercury's coming in and what's going on here. So, okay. Let me just have a look. Let me tune in here. Mercury in quincunx to Neptune. There's a frustration here surrounding this. It's almost like within something, or something's aware within, or you're aware of something, and it's almost like maybe it's being called out with that Mercury in Scorpio, that bluntness, that seeing things for what they are, or it's bringing into your awareness, and it's maybe forcing you to maybe go within in some sense, or there's a sensitivity that exists within oneself through this, and it's almost like being called out too. Because with that Neptunian energy, that's Neptune rules Pisces, which is that stuff that's maybe more so hidden behind the veil. And with that Scorpio energy, it's, seeing it for what it is. So you could feel called out, and it feels like almost like this internal focus or this internal like sensitivity surrounding that. And that's maybe where this quincunx or this frustration lies, and that you're like, oh my God, I don't really know how to deal with this because this is being shown now, and this was normally hidden before, but it's within me, and now I can, and it's like this, it's really difficult to try to integrate or deal with that if you've never had to actually deal with that before. Okay. Anything else surrounding this quincunx? No, we're just going to move on from that for now. Looks like the only other thing here is this Venus now in sextile to a black moon Lilith that will happen near the end of the day here. So Venus here in Virgo, black moon Lilith in Scorpio. So let me just, excuse me, let me just tune in here as Venus sextile black moon Lilith. It's like this Lilith energy, and just like, what you gotta fix. There's this intensity to this Lilith energy, what you gotta fix. It's almost like these feminine energies are maybe more supportive of each other. There's an intensity, but it's like, especially what I'm getting is with that Scorpio energy, it's like, because it's like, you're seeing it for what it is. It's like, what you gotta fix. Anything else with that? It's like that Lilith energy is like, it's like she's there as like a stern, like, it's like, you've got to do this. What you've got to fix. Anything else with that? No, I'm taking me away from that now. Okay, that's fine. Let's move on to Tuesday the 7th then here. On Tuesday the 7th, we're going to have this Mercury, where are we here? Mercury in quincunx to Uranus. Okay. Let me just tune in. Let me tune in this Mercury in quincunx to Uranus. There's a frustration here surrounding the integration of this awareness of what needs to change now that there's an intensity of this awareness. Okay, Mercury rules Gemini where Uranus is in. Okay, and I said with this Uranus retrograde that it's going to be bringing to our awareness or making us aware of what needs to change. There's this quincunx. This is bringing this frustration now because of this intensity of that awareness now that Mercury is in Scorpio. Okay, and maybe intense communication, etc. surrounding that, and it's kind of like throwing it in your face in a lot of ways, but there's a frustration here because it's like maybe you're not ready for it, or maybe I think we're ready for it. It's just you're not really wanting to look at it. Okay, and it's one thing that I'm getting now too is it's really shaking things up with that Uranian energy. Seeing what needs to change, it's really shaking things up, and there's an intensity, and it's so intense with that Mercury in Scorpio that it's like undeniable. Okay, and there's a frustration with that because maybe we've only kind of maybe thought about it or maybe seen it in a certain way and was like, nah, that can't be it, and now it's like undeniable. And it's like, well, shit. And you just don't really know what to do about it, okay? And that's that quincunx energy that is there. And it seems a bit frustrating, okay? Anything else surrounding this Okay, I'm not getting anything, so I'm just going to move on here. Mercury is also in square to Pluto as well on this day. Okay, Mercury in square to... Interesting that quincunx is happening, and then Uranus is in Mercury's sign, but Pluto, which rules Scorpio, where Mercury is in Uranus's sign of Aquarius. So again, all of this energy is playing off on each other. All right, let me just tune in here. Mercury in square to Pluto. I feel that intensity of that Scorpio energy. I feel the intensity to this. It feels almost like somebody says something and like everybody's like, oh god, and they're kind of like talking about it and just like, did you like, it kind of feels like that, and everybody's kind of running around like, okay, well, now that we know this, we kind of have to like go here, do that, and it's like a bit chaotic. Okay, it's just a bit chaotic with the intensity of whatever this awareness or communication or this talking or whatever is. Okay, anything else surrounding this? Okay, they're saying no, they're just taking me away from it for now. All right, we're also going to have Mercury in semi-sextile to Juno. Okay, let me tune in here. Mercury in semi-sextile to Juno. This is related, what feels like globally, more politically, again, surrounding whatever these commitments and partnerships, etc. are. It kind of feels like a defeated energy, honestly. Surrounding these partnerships or whatever, in terms of, what exists, or maybe what needs to change, or how to deal with it. It just feels like a defeated energy through whatever communication, whatever is being brought up or made aware or whatever. It feels like a defeated energy. Anything else surrounding this? No. Okay, so let's move forward. Let's move forward here to Wednesday the 8th. Okay, Wednesday the 8th. We're going to have Venus here in sextile to Jupiter now. Okay, so let me just tune in here to this Venus in sextile to Jupiter. I don't know why I get this a big energy. I mean, I get it because it's Jupiter. And then I get a feminine energy. It almost feels like it's political. Again, I don't know what the hell's going on this week. But okay, any more to this? There's a depth to that Jupiter in Cancer. Maybe I feel like it's probably like more of an emotional depth, or just a depth in like, it's almost like an unseen underlying, because obviously the moon rules Cancer, it's like emotional, but it's also like that subconscious, maybe like unseen kind of stuff. But there's a feminine energy that's related, that's it almost feels like more adept at dealing with whatever that is. Okay, anything else about this? It's like she's more adept at like making it practical or talking about it or whatever that it is, whatever that stuff is. It just seems weird. Honestly, really. Any more to this, guys? Okay, it's just no. Let's just move on from that one. That's a bit of a weird one. Anyway, we're also going to have Mercury in biquintile to Saturn. Okay, so Saturn retrograde in Pisces. So let me just tune in here in this Mercury and biquintile to Saturn. I don't know why I get Trump, but I'm getting Trump. Again, there's an intensity with that Mercury in Scorpio, maybe around speech. You know, he says a lot of things that are, you know, a little off the cuff, or a little, you know, it's like, oh wow, he actually said that, like that kind of a thing. Okay. But what it is it's almost like it maybe wakes people up to something, maybe something that's hidden or something that's going on. And again, I'm not saying that everything that comes out of his mouth is any kind of amount of truth. What I'm saying is he could straight up say a bullshit fucking lie that shakes something up so much that people become aware. Okay, that's something that could happen with this, because again, we're dealing with Pisces deceptive energy too. So, and sometimes things work out in that way, where somebody says something that's not even true, but it leads to actually some kind of a positive change in some way, right? Like, and this could happen in any fucking way. Like, okay, let's just focus on this again. It's almost like maybe he says something and it leads to, I feel a positivity from it though, regardless of what it ends up being. Weirdly enough, it almost feels like he's untouchable in what he says. But it leads to this introspective focus. And what I feel like with that biquintile is it's that introspective, maybe more of a focus on whatever is going on here. So he might be like talking crazy, whatever, whether it's truth or a lie, or it doesn't fucking matter. And it brings an introspective focus to whatever the intensity of that actually is. And I'm getting this because with this Saturn and Pisces, there's like this, there's a leadership aspect here, because I mean, he's the president of the United States. And I mean, whether you consider him a good leader or not, I'm just getting like that he's like the top dog that exists in that position. And it somehow leads to whatever introspective focus that is, through maybe there's an intensity of communication or whatever. So whether that there's a truth there, or with that Saturn in Pisces, whether there's a truth there or whether there's some kind of manipulation or something, it leads to an introspective focus. And again, it feels like it's being used in a positive way. So if it's not the truth, it's still being used in a positive way to force someone into an introspective focus. Whereas if it is the truth, it's still doing the same thing. And Pisces can kind of go either way with that, whether it's manipulating through the deception or it's seeing through the fog at what the deception is. Okay. Is there anything else with this? Again, all I get is Trump. And okay, I'm getting maybe it's the dissolution of a lot of this malefic energy with this Saturn energy, in terms of whatever he's saying, it leads to that introspective focus that maybe dissolves some aspect of that. And like I said, whether it's a truth or a lie, it doesn't matter as long as it has a positive effect. Okay, anything else with this? I just get Trump again. Anything else besides that? We're done. Okay. Mercury and semi-square to the south node is another thing that is happening here. So let's see here. Mercury in Scorpio and semi-square to the south node. Through whatever awareness is coming through, and maybe it's related to him and what he says or whatever, but there's a letting go of something that was deemed as practical in some way here with this aspect, with this semi-square. Anything else related to this? Whatever intensity or whatever is being brought up with that, there's something that is also being let go within that, really. I mean, Mercury also rules Virgo, and that's where the south node is. So there's an intensity surrounding this, whatever letting go, whatever practical aspect it was, whatever... I don't know. Anything else? Okay, no, let's just leave it at that. Mercury is also going to be in a sesqui-square to the north node here in Pisces. Let's tune into that. It's moving into forward in a new direction, whether you like it or not. That's what that feels like. It kind of like, again, this kind of feels like a somewhat defeated energy again with this that is coming through with this. And with the sesqui-square, it's like something that can't be swept under the rug any longer, and the North Node in Pisces is moving in an unknown direction. Right? To complete something that's completely new, or maybe that we don't fully see. And what it feels like, it's going there whether you like it or not. There's an intensity with this Mercury and Scorpio. You know? It's whatever that communication or whatever that awareness is, it's like it doesn't matter. It's like it's moving it and moving in a new direction. Anything else but this? Mercury sesqui-square to the north node. Like I said, it almost feels like just defeated, just flat defeated. Anything else? Okay, no. We're just gonna... Let's go forward here. Also on this day too, we have, at nearing the end of the day, we're going to have the Sun in sesqui-square to Uranus. Remember that sesqui-square is like a super square. It's something that can't be swept under the rug any longer. Okay, so let's just tune into this. Sun in sesqui-square to Uranus. What I get is both the aspect of Trump again, and the changes that need to be made. It feels like a very defeated energy. He feels like very in power. Like he doesn't care, and it's like everybody else is just defeated. It's like he doesn't give a shit. But everybody else is just, it's almost like nobody knows what the hell to do with him. And it's just like this defeated energy. It just feels like, okay then. Why don't we tune into this a bit more? It's like what needs to change is what needs to change. Regardless of who's delivering it. Wow, okay. It feels like that Libra energy is strong too, seeking some kind of balance or justice in some way, in terms of, you know, what needs to change that is leading to that. Okay, tune into this a bit more here. Again, I just get this aspect of like change and Trump. Whether it's specifically Trump or whether it's just political, as I'm getting that guidance, like, okay, but it's probably Trump. It's probably Trump. Anything else with this? Again, I just get Trump and just what needs to change. But the thing is that he's strong in his power, in his conviction, in whatever that is. what I feel like is it's not him that's changing. Again, I'm just here to give you the message and do not shoot the messenger, okay? Anything else with this? We're moving on. All right. Let's move on to Thursday the 9th here. We're going to have this Venus in quincunx to Chiron. Okay, let me just tune into this here. Venus in quincunx to Chiron. It keeps showing up. It's Trump again. Venus quincunx Chiron. Again, this feels like wanting to fix something, but I still get like this defeated energy. Like nobody wants to... It's like nobody wants to like listen to him, but it's like, it's almost like they feel like they don't have a choice. And that's where that frustration comes in. Surrounding for healing whatever this Chiron wound is. Okay, anything else to this, guys? Venus quincunx Chiron. It's almost like you know what needs to be done, but it's almost like you can't believe that you have to do it. It's surrounding that aspect of like fixing something, or that feminine energy fixing something. It's like, it's almost like at a pause or a standstill, because it's like, you know what needs to occur, but it's like, well, shit, are we actually going to do this? Is kind of what that feels like. And that's where that quincunx comes in. Anything else with this? No. Let's... Mars, also in sesqui-square to Saturn, is occurring here. Okay, Mars in Scorpio, sesqui-square to Saturn. Oh my god. Mars sesqui-square Saturn. It feels like pushing forward. Almost like nothing can stop it, whether you like it or not. And it feels like Trump again. Anything else with this? He feels very strong in his conviction. And again, I don't know what the hell is going to happen or what he's going to say. But it doesn't feel like it's bad. So I'm going to say this. Even if it seems bad on the surface, whatever is occurring, what is underlying it, or whatever the underlying reason is for its occurrence, is actually more positive than what we may think. So if we don't see it as something that is positive, the underlying reason or the push for it is actually a lot more positive than you think, and it needs to push forward for whatever reason, for a purpose. Okay? And we may not fully understand or see that for what it is, which could be the reason why there's people, why I'm getting this defeated energy, this shock energy, or whatever. But there's some kind of underlying positive reason for whatever is occurring. And it seems like he is at the forefront of whatever this is. Trust me, I don't really want to be saying this because it's Trump. But that is what I'm getting. Anything else with that Mars sesqui square Saturn? Let's just leave it there. That's Thursday. Let's move on to Friday. Friday the 10th. Okay, we're going to have the Sun here in semi-square to, where am I? Juno. It's okay. Sun in Libra semi-square to Juno. I almost get like a shocking balancing of whatever these... It feels like global stuff, like partnerships, contracts, something like that. That is just... It almost feels like they don't have a choice. It's like it like flattens it out. It balances it out. I don't know. This is so fucking weird. Okay, let me just, anything else? This, Sun, what are we? Sun, semi-square Juno. I don't know, I get Trump again and it's like he wins. He's winning at something here regarding whatever this is and whatever these political contracts, agreements, whatever are. And like I said, whatever is happening that looks like it could look like the most horrible thing. Because I feel like what I get is a sense of defeat from a lot of people. But whatever is occurring has an underlying positive support, even if it doesn't look that way. It may look that way, it may not look that way, but even if it doesn't look that way, because of however this has to play out, there's an underlying positive support to whatever that this is. Anything else with that? I just get Trump again. Let's just move on to the next. Let's move on to the next thing. Okay. Mercury here in biquintile to Neptune. Yeah, okay. Mercury biquintile Neptune. I get this defeated energy again, but it's like people are moving forward, but it's like this behind the scenes. It's like, okay, well, we got to do this, I guess. What I get is there's this intense underlying support in whatever way that is coming through here. Oh my God. Anything else with this, guys? There's an intensity surrounding this communication, but it's like it's going undefeated. It's just going through, and there's an underlying amount of support here. And there's people behind the scenes that are just, okay, I guess we're doing it then. And it feels very, like I said, and introspective in a lot of ways too, with that Neptune retrograde. Anything else with this? Okay, and we're just going to move on. We have the Sun now also making minor aspects to the nodes. So we have this semi-sextile to the south node and this quincunx to the north node. Oh boy. Overall, the energy, what is this Sun aspecting the nodes? What I feel like is a frustration in moving forward in terms of what needs to be let go of. There's practical something that needs to be let go of and frustration in moving forward, but ultimately relating to some kind of a balance that needs to occur here. It's like you don't want to move forward, but it's happening anyway. It's happening anyway. And that's like what I get, this defeated energy again with that quincunx there. In terms of whatever this balancing is. Do I tune into any more of this aspect or individually, or no, it's done. That's it. Okay, that's that's Friday the 10th. Let's move on to Saturday the 11th here. And the only thing is going to just be this Venus in opposition to Saturn. Okay, so let me just tune into this Venus in Virgo opposition to Saturn in Pisces. Saturn retrograde. Something's been like blasted, okay? And it's like, all I get is this sense of people, and it's like this I want to say destruction of something, but I've said before, like, there's the dissolution of Saturn, that Saturn energy, with it Saturn being in Pisces and with being retrograde. It's going over these old things that need to just whatever, and it's just, there's still like a defeated energy that's coming through. What it's balancing out is whatever this feminine energy is in Virgo that is having to put in some kind of practical work, whatever surrounding this, but it feels defeated. It's like, okay, I guess we're doing this, is what that feels like to me. It's like, okay, I guess we're doing this. Anything else with us? But again, it feels like there's an underlying, it feels like a force that is like working behind the scenes that is unknown, but that is positive, that is somehow behind whatever is going on. Whether it looks good or whether it looks bad. There is some kind of positive force that is occurring behind the scenes that is just as doing this. But it may not look like that, but that's what that is. All right. Okay. We've reached the end of the week. So let me I'm going to tune in first on an overall general vibe on maybe an individual level in terms of what we may be experiencing this week. Okay, so let me just tune in, individual level, overall vibe. I get this, like, not sure what to think, taken aback. Again, a somewhat maybe defeated energy. You're just kind of going along and like, okay. But I get like a defeated energy, and you're just doing it. You're doing it because you got to do it, whatever it is. Okay, let me tune in on first, is there any more to that? No, but it feels like it relates to more of like a global scale, like a lot of that. Maybe it's just that a lot of people are going to be feeling this way. I don't know. Okay, let's just tune in as like a political, economic, like global scale to what is it for this week? All I see is Trump. All I see is Trump, and what it feels like is there's a large amount of force behind him propelling whatever needs to be propelled. Anything else with this? I don't even know. It just like, yeah. It's just, what I'm saying is I don't even know what to say about that other than what I've already said. It's just, whether it looks good or bad, look, the divine can work through whatever situation that is occurring to bring through a positive resolution. So regardless of what is going on, regardless of what we see, regardless of what has happened, whatever that still exists can always still be used in a positive way. Okay? Is what I want to say with this. Anything else surrounding this? Because it feels like whatever he's doing, yeah, I don't know. I think the goal here is to just understand that whatever is happening, despite how it looks, the divine can still use it in a positive way. I don't know what this is, whether we're going to see it as positive or see it as negative. I think it can go either way for people. So regardless of what I don't even want to say sides, because I'm not here to be divisive in any way. But regardless of wherever it is, in terms of who you are or where you stand, whatever occurs can always somehow still be used in a positive way by the divine. And we all have the power within us to make it that way. But I feel like there's some kind of positive, despite what we see. It's like despite whatever is occurring, it's like the divine is using it. Whether it's good or bad, the divine is going to be using it ultimately in a positive way, regardless. Okay. That's it for this week. If you've made it this far in the video, please leave a purple heart in the comments so that I know you're a real one. And of course, I thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all in next week's video. Take care, everyone. Bye.